Hi everyone. I know you've seen me already pretty much the entire day today, but I have a presentation for you, and this one is on tech snacks. So, just a brief introduction about myself because I know you already know who I am. And my name is Gift Egwuenu. I work as a front end developer at Passionate People. So what is Tech Snacks? Is it actual snacks or is it something else? So Tech Snacks is a series where we share tech updates and new releases from across the web. It's brought to you by passionate people. And in this episode or in this series, I usually just share what's new on the web, what's this interesting thing that you all should check out. But today I am going to be doing a special edition for Jsworld Conference, and it's going to be tagged the theme of today. So Tech Snacks, Design Ops Tech Snacks. If you would like to check out the previous episodes that we've done, definitely check them out on our website, passionatepeople.io/tech snacks. And yeah, grab your snacks and your drinks and let's get started. The first one on my list is this interesting article from Andy Bell, where he's sharing some modern things that you can do with CSS today. Some things that you can do with CSS. And as developers, front end developers specifically, will think that, oh, I've pretty much learned everything there is to learn in CSS. Like, I don't need to learn anything else. I know everything. But it's always good to have this mindset where there is always going to be something new coming up, and that's exactly what Andy is sharing in this article, where he's sharing the latest and new things that you can do with CSS. I liked a couple of them, and I also found some of them very helpful to know. I'll share some of them with you, and also let you all check them out yourself as well. The first one here is the Manjri layout. So Manjri layout is very, very popular. You see it on sites like Pinterest, on Splash. And the idea is that for you to be able to achieve this, you would typically have to either use JavaScript to make it work or have to use an external library to make it work. But the good thing is that with the latest updates to CSS Grid, you can now do this using CSS. And the part that even blows my mind is the fact that you can achieve it in just 6 lines of code. So the magic is using grid template rows set as Manjri, and it also shares a demo of how it works here, right? And also how to even get more um, more responsive layouts using something like the min max function. So it's very, very interesting to see that this is possible with just CSS Grid. And the next one is also very interesting. The next one is the is selector. This one I'm pretty sure you find interesting. So imagine when you have to style like a child element, that like you have a post parent element that then has h1, h2, h3, and you want to set a specific line height for each of them. This is how you typically do that, right? This is how you typically do that. Or you have a post that has an image and a video, and you want to set a width for the image and the video. This is also how you typically do that. But thankfully, with CSS is pseudo class, you can, instead of doing it this way, do it this way, where you select using the is selector, select all the elements you want to style. And yeah, this is pretty much interesting to see that it's possible to do it this way, reducing the number reducing the lines of code you have to write and just making it very, very easy to use. It also shares a couple of more interesting tips and new things that you can do with CSS that I would very much want you all to check out. So definitely check this one out. The next one is from Mark Andrew, and he's sharing some UI and US micro tips. I really find reading this very helpful because these are very actionable tips, number one. And the other thing that I really like is that he's not just giving you tips and saying, oh, this is what you should do. He's also showing you what they would look like when you typically follow them. So the first tip he has here is it's perfectly okay to use purely decorative elements from time to time. He also shows you an example of what he means. Is saying the next tip here is sharing, make your elements in your UI distinguishable from one another. It's very okay to do that. You can have like different styles for your buttons. It's going to look okay. It's not compulsory for you to follow a one size fits all mindset. And this other one I really like, he says just add subtle amount of shadows. That's all you need. So it's okay to have a little bit of shadow. Doesn't necessarily mean that you must make it obvious that there is a shadow on that element or button or wherever you think you're going to be using it. So these are very, very helpful tips. And he shares even more. So definitely check that one out. The next one is from Chris Koya, where he's sharing how to style focus styles and how to animate focus styles actually using something, a library called floating focus. So imagine how you have focus styles on your website and you're tabbing through them. Usually they are just jumping from one element to another on the page. But he's sharing this idea where he sees like animating that effect and transitioning, like animating the transitions between elements is going to be very helpful and is going to improve accessibility for people. Like just imagine a user trying to tap through your website and it has a very smooth scrolling effect, like something similar to a smooth scrolling effect. That's what he's sharing in this article where he says it's something people should consider doing. And what's even interesting is György Bowman has already thought about this and he created a library called Floating Focus that helps you achieve this. So it's a library that helps you implement focus state solutions that improves accessibility and usability. So if you're thinking of doing something similar to this, you should definitely check this out. And it pretty much shows how everything works here. The next one is, this is quite interesting. I found this very interesting reading it. It's an article from Brad Frost, and he's explaining this idea of a great divide that exists in front-end development today. Now he's sharing that there is something called front of the front end developers and back of the front end developers. I'll just highlight what he says here. He says a succinct way that he has framed the split is that front of the front end developers are the ones that determine the look and the feel of a button, while the back of the front end developers are the ones that determines when that button is clicked. So I really, really, really like the fact that he's saying it's not compulsory for you to tag yourself as a full stack developers. Initially, when you have to build like an application, you have to think about, okay, front end developers, they're working with HTML, JavaScript, and CSS, while back end developers are doing something like with C Sharp, PHP. But today, you can literally use JavaScript for pretty much everything you need to do in your application. So, where do you draw the line? And that's where this article comes in. Like, it's sharing that there is a divide. Front-end developers are focused on the presentational layout, while back-end of the front-end developers are focused on the functionality side of the application. So it's good and it's very okay to pick a side. And yeah, you should definitely read it because it shares some very interesting things that, yeah, I really enjoyed reading this one. The next one is from Anna. Anna is sharing interrelationships in design systems. So she's sharing her learnings from working at an agency called Sinashrada. I hope I pronounced that correctly, where they built a design system for a car manufacturer. And she's sharing her learnings from working on that project and not just sharing how to build component libraries or pattern libraries, but she's sharing how to work with components and as well as people. So thinking about it in kind of like an interrelationship sense where there are also people building these components and just putting them together and seeing where that brings us. And she created a playbook from all of these her learnings, which I think a lot of people will find very helpful. This playbook shows you the different ideas that they shared, like during their time building this project. And this is a personal, like she puts, is a playbook that she built out of her experience working on this. And it not just covers just design system, it also covers like things like how the team is set up, what kind of meetings they should have regarding building a design system, how collaboration works, how to onboard new people into the team, how to write documentation. So it's very, very interesting. She also has a piece on how to sell a design system and talking about how it's easier to sell a design system externally than to sell a design system internally in a in a product or in a team or in a company. So this is very, very helpful. It's a very helpful playbook that she put together. So if you're looking at doing something related to this, you should definitely check it out. The other one is very interesting article from Idorein Udo, where he's sharing how to animate using Lottie. Animation is quite interesting, and I really enjoy like reading articles like this that just shares this very thing that you think, oh, how do they achieve that? So he's sharing how to achieve wonderful animations like this Twitter like button. If you're very familiar with Twitter, you'd see that there is always an animation in the like button, in like when there is a specific event happening, like a celebration of Christmas or New Year, you'd see there's always an animation on Twitter. So thinking about how do I actually achieve something like that, is he's sharing how to use Lottie as a JavaScript animation library to achieve this. It also goes on to share the fact that you can create these animations on Adobe After Effects and then import it using Lottie and animate it using the library Lottie. So he shares an example and he demos an example as well. So definitely check this out if you're thinking about building something similar to this, and you can then use Lottie for that. The final one we have on our list is that container queries are coming to CSS. Finally, this is very, very exciting. It was announced last week, and I think I had to just do a bit of reading about this just to know, okay, where this whole thing stem, where this whole discussion stemmed from. And I discovered that for over 10 years now, people have been asking for this feature in CSS, right? And it's very interesting to see that it's going to be coming to CSS this year. And this effort has been championed by Miriam Susan. It's very interesting to see how the discussions going behind the scene on how they want to achieve this, or how they're currently building the functionality into CSS. So I am definitely looking forward to it. Just to explain further what container queries are. So think about media queries, how you set like specific styles for a specific device. So I want my UI to look differently on mobile, on web, and on desktop, and on a tablet device. Now think about container queries as a way to specifically design your UI in such a way that all they are all working, or they are all being styled for a specific container. So you can have different styles for each container on your UI and not the entire page itself. So that's the idea of container queries. And I can already see different areas where this would be useful. Thinking about, say, you want a specific part of your UI to look different on mobile and on desktop, but not having the entire page change. So that's a scenario where I think this is going to be helpful. So I'm very happy that this is coming to CSS finally. And yeah, very much looking forward to using it and just seeing where it takes us. So that brings me to the end of the snacks that I wanted to share for this episode. And I hope you found some of them helpful, and I hope that you check them out, because I would, like I said earlier, we have links to them on our website. So definitely check those out, and also on YouTube as well, to check the previous episodes that we've done. Thank you so much, and I will see you in a bit.